I was really sick these few days to the point where talking hurt a lot, so yeah, no videos. Sorry. If you want help for Lua, you can always type :help lua.txt, :help luaref.txt, and :help api.txt. They are around 4.7k, 4.8k, and 4k lines respectively. So yeah, you got plenty of docs if you want it. You can declare a variable in Lua like this. You can declare strings which are immutable, that are a set of characters, a number which represents real double precision floating point numbers, nil which is the absent value, booleans which can either be true or false, tables, a simple but complex data structure, functions which are the main mechanism for abstractions of statements and expressions in Lua, userdata which allows arbitrary C data to be stored in Lua variables whose values cannot be created or modified in Lua only through the C API, thread which represents independent threads of execution and it is used to implement coroutines. It's not the same as operating system threads. You can concatenate strings using ... append or prepend to it by assigning a new value by concatenating the old one with a new one. You can also use the string library in Lua for finding patterns or changing the strings using lua-patterns, formatting strings and checking its length, lowercasing it or uppercasing it, among other stuff. For more info, do :help lua-lib-string. We can write numeric constants with an optional decimal part plus an optional decimal exponent, like this. You can use the math library for absolute values, trigonometric functions, logarithms, generating random numbers, and a lot of other stuff. For more info, do :help lua-lib-math. There's not that much to say about Boolean values and nil, although keep in mind both nil and false make a condition false. Any other value makes it true. Tables implement associative arrays. An associative array is an array that can be indexed not only with numbers, but also with strings or any other values, except nil. Tables have no fixed size. You can add as many elements as you want to a table dynamically. They are the main data structure mechanism in Lua. We use tables to represent ordinary arrays, symbol tables, sets, records, queues, and other data structures. Lua uses tables to represent packages as well. When we write io.read, we mean the read entry from the io package. For Lua, that means index the table io using the string read as the key. Tables are dynamically allocated objects. Lua only manipulates pointers to them. When you pass the table as a value, you pass by reference. So changing something in a table B would also change the table A. So when passing table and functions, you need to make sure that you're not changing the table in any way. If you don't want to change the original table, you can get a length of table by putting a hashtag before its name. Do :help vim.deepcopy if you want to know how to deep copy a table by value so two tables don't share the same value. You can use a table library and vim.table functions for interacting with tables. Functions are the main mechanism for abstractions of statements and expressions in Lua. Functions can both carry out a specific task, which is what is sometimes called a procedure or subroutine in other languages, or compute and return values. Lua doesn't have non-positional arguments like Python. We can, however, use a single table as opts and use that table's keys as positional args. Variables in Lua have something called scope. If a variable isn't declared as local, it will be global. Unlike global variables, local variables have their scope limited to the block where they are declared. A block is the body of a control structure, the body of a function or a chunk, the file or string with the code where the variable is declared. You can declare if-else statements like this and while loops like this. You got two types of for loops, numeric for and generic for. A numeric for has the following syntax. That loop will execute something for each value from var from expression 1 to expression 2, using expression 3 as the step to increment var. This third expression is optional. When absent, Lua assumes 1 as a step value. The generic for loop allows you to traverse all values returned by an iterator function. The pairs function returns 3 values: the next function, the table, and nil. This will iterate over all key value pairs of the table. The ipairs function returns 3 values: an iterator function, the table, and 0. This will iterate over the pairs in the table up to the first integer absent from the table. For the layman, ipairs is for array-like tables. When the first value is nil, it stops. And pairs is for tables with a key value structure. It loops over every key. Pcall calls function f with the given arguments in protected mode. This means that any errors inside function f is not propagated. Instead, pcall catches the error and returns a status code. Its first result is a status code, a boolean, which is true if the call succeeds without any errors. In such case, pcall also returns all results from the call after this first result. In any case of error, pcall returns false plus the error message. I don't use it heavily, although it has seen a lot of use in some of my plugins. You can comment out stuff in Lua like this: vim.fn.function name is for calling vim functions, vim.cmd is for executing vim commands, vim.opt exists for conveniently interacting with list and map style options from Lua. It allows accessing them as Lua tables and offers object-oriented method for adding and removing entries. You should do :help vim.opt for more info. You can set key maps with vim.keymap.set or vim.api.nvim.setKeymap. The signs are done using the equal sign. Equality checks are done using double equal signs. Not equal sign is tilde key, then an equal sign. There's also less than, greater than, less than or equal to, greater than or equal to. Lua does not have plus equals and plus minus and other stuff like that, so you need to use this syntax. There is also the logical AND, logical OR, and the logical NOT. Here's a table showing Lua operator precedence from highest to lowest. These are basically mostly everything that you need to know for using Lua in Neovim. That will be all for this video, and I'll see you folks on the next one.